It's very late. I don't know how late it is, but I'm outside, pacing back and forth along the sidewalk across the street in front of the bank. But it is late, and my next episode is late. A few things I want to get off my chest about the Opus Marcus podcast. Number one, people have mentioned that the intro is a little, how shall we say, cacophonous. And I realized that in the first few episodes, I had the volume levels up way too loud, or the gains, whatever the fuck you call it. But I've corrected that, so the intro shouldn't be as blaring. But I do stand by the intro, which is essentially a prayer. And if you don't know what it is that I'm saying, I have dug up the original recording, which is literally the first thing I recorded for the Opus Marcus podcast extemporaneously. Just came to me and said, that's good, I'll use that for an intro. Here is the original opening prayer to the Opus Marcus podcast. We must have a high tolerance for chaos. Learn to embrace the flow. Forgive all that we can't forget. Regret nothing we can't let go. For despite what we have learned, infinitely more we do not know. So let us tune our frequencies until new vibrations grow. Let's pretend that it never ends. And now, it's time to start the show.
We must have a high tolerance for chaos. Learn to embrace the flow.
Forgive all that we can't forget. Regret nothing we can't let go. For despite what we have learned, infinitely more we do not know.
So let us tune our frequencies
Until new vibrations grow. Let's pretend that it never ends.
And now, it's time to start the show.
Welcome to the Opus Marcus podcast. I am your host, Marcus Aurelius. You are the audience, I guess. Are you there? I don't really know. I'm just going to keep going. Welcome to the Opus Marcus podcast. I am your host, Marcus Aurelius. You are the audience, separate thought dreams within the one mind. And this is episode 10. And it's going to be a little bit different than the past 9 episodes, folks. Instead of one long conversation with a single individual, we've got something more akin to a season finale going on here. You're going to meet my brother Michael, hear my dear Nana tell a story from beyond the grave, listen to excerpts of a quantum healing hypnosis session. Crazy. There's music, poetry, drama, humor, the very stuff of life encoded into this podcast. So, either literally or metaphorically or both, buckle in, check your mirrors, and fuck GPS. I am your navigator right now, you lovable bastards. Okay, first up, introducing a new recurring segment on the Opus Marcus podcast. It's called Checking In with My Brother Mike. He needs no introduction because he's going to introduce himself, but for those of you that don't know my brother, the only context I can provide right now is to tell those of you that do know my brother, he's doing well. He's very busy,
Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6. On Tuesdays, I have Kim. On Thursdays, I have Charlie. And that is for Drug Court, my mandatory meetings. Hip, hip, hooray.
Yay.
But he managed to meet my deadline. He even provided a quick agenda for us.
Latino Medical Services. Name with all 5 vowels. St. Ambrose. Meaning of last name, Ambrose. My gym Planet Fitness not having a scale. She works in Dunkin' Donuts but does not drink coffee. Loves the hash browns though.
What am I saying?
Yeah.
Bacterial additives for septic systems.
Wow. Right. iOS 10.3.3. Definitely more efficient way to fold your socks. Viking women across the hall at work. I am the distilled essence of greatness, aka the first indigo, aka Walf, aka Shades, aka Whisper, aka I don't know, aka the Chef Mikkel. Mom talking about a golden shower being golden rain. And deep dish. The history and meaning of my name. Who is like God with a question mark. Comment on most valuable D. Ambrose.
Okay, that was fucking crazy. Let's hear him elaborate on those topics in the next 9 minutes.
So, Brother Marcus contacted me a couple of weeks ago and said, you know what, I think I want to put you on my blog, give you a spot, just to talk about some interesting things. So I guess I started out introducing myself as the other half of Brothers D'Ambrose, Michael Vincent Salvatore D'Ambrose. Michael means who is like God. And of course that's with a question mark, which was discussed in a blog a couple of weeks ago with Brother Marcus. We're not going to get into that now. We're just going to do a synopsis of my name. Then we have my middle name, which is Vincent, which means victorious. Now, there's Salvatore. Salvatore isn't my official name on my birth certificate. However, it is my confirmation name. And I take that name in pride because it was after my late uncle, who was, cared for and loved very much in our family.
Deep dish.
Definitely a matriarch. And then, of course, Salvatore does mean savior. And then my last name, again, D'Ambrose, which means one who is immortal. So, I'm who is like God, victorious savior of one who is immortal. Now, I do have a bunch of other names, so I guess I'll go through the list here for you guys. I am also known as, let's see here, get your pen and paper, ladies and gentlemen. I am aka M.V.D, or Most Valuable D'Ambrose, aka Walf, which was the name given to me in college, aka Shades, because I'm always wearing sunglasses, aka Whisper, because I never shut the fuck up, aka Mike Immortal, which would be my my talent, my entertainment name for movies and radio, and of course the Chef Mikkel, because I can cook up a good feast for all of my friends and family. And yes, ultimately I am the one and only distilled essence of greatness. And of course, the first indigo. And certainly not the last. Now, if you notice, Brother Marcus has a picture of the crew. Everybody wearing sun god robes standing in formation. Now, if you look very closely to that picture, you will see me standing in the middle. That is not by accident. So I'm thinking to myself, well, what am I going to say on this blog? I'm so busy. My schedule is jam-packed. Trying to find time to think of, okay, well, what can I say that's entertaining on this blog? Something short, something sweet. I figured, I live down here in South Florida. I'm in Fort Lauderdale. And this place is nothing but a bunch of weirdos and wackos living with palm trees, sunshine, lizards, and beautiful beaches. And I see crazy shit on a daily basis. People from all over the world are down here. And the things I see are unparalleled to that I've ever seen anywhere else in this country that I've been, or even outside this country. Maybe Amsterdam would be a good parallel. But South Florida is in a world all of its own. And anybody who's been down here or lived down here for a period of time knows exactly what I'm talking about. So I figure, when I get on this blog, unless I have something specific I want to talk about, I can just go over some observations that I've made over the last couple of weeks that I figure sound funny and entertaining. Okay, so a couple of interesting things over the last couple of weeks. I guess I'll start off with this. I had a customer on the phone, and I asked him for his name. And don't ask me to pronounce this, but the name had all 5 vowels in it. It was spelled O as in Oscar, U as in uniform, A as in alpha, then there's an L, E as in echo, I as in India. Ule, I think that's the way to do it. And it just stroked me as funny, or striked me as funny. Part of my grammatical errors here. I don't think I've ever seen all 5 vowels in one name before. So, all of you linguistic people out there, I figure you find that interesting. Then, what happened to me? Oh yeah, this is a few months ago. I remember this. I joined Planet Fitness. And I remember within my first week, I wanted to go over there and weigh myself, so I can see where my target is and so forth on a week-to-week basis. So I come out and I go, I'm looking around this gym. I'm walking around. And I don't see a scale anywhere. And I'm like, what's going on here? This is a gym, right? And so I walk up to the desk and I'm like, yes, ma'am. I was wondering, where's your scale? She's like, oh, we don't have a scale here. And I just look at her like, are you, what? Like, seriously? Did she just say that? Yes, and that's the truth. I have a gym membership where they don't have a scale. To me, that's hilarious, like it or not. And, oh yes, I was actually in Dunkin' Donuts a few weeks ago, and I was talking to the barista, and she was saying how much she loved her job, but how much she hated coffee. Hates coffee. Absolutely loves the hash browns, though, and that's what keeps her working there. And then I ran into another guy, actually, I believe it was the same night, who told me, I'm in sales, I sell insurance. And he's in sales, and he sells something I've never heard of in my entire life. So when I come right back, I'm gonna let you know what that was. Okay, I just had to check my reference there. This guy sells bacterial additives for septic systems. What the fuck? I ain't never heard of that shit in my entire life. That shit's crazy. Says he makes no money. I wonder why. And I was on my way to work one morning, and I started noticing these transportation buses. And it says Latino Health Services. I'm thinking to myself, how fucking racist is that? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Only Latinos are allowed on these buses. Go figure. South Florida. Gotta love it. Oh, I love Latinos, though. Don't get me wrong. It's one of the reasons why I moved down here. Love the women. Definitely not racist. I also love Chinese food. So I guess what I'm going to do now is finish up with a little story about my mother. I know you guys had heard her on her premiere on this blog. How wonderful she is, but also how funny she could be with the way she, messes names of things up. And as a matter of fact, Brother Marcus, as you're listening to this and thinking about the editing process, I still haven't told you this. This was just a couple of weeks ago and was absolutely hilarious. My mom was out with my aunt and they were watching a movie, Girls Weekend or some shit. It was, I don't know who's in it, Jada Pinkett Smith and whatever. And she was describing a scene where Jada Pinkett Smith was, I guess, trying to Tarzan her way across a quad or something like that, on a rope, and got stuck just hanging there. And apparently she started taking a leak over everybody. So my mom's like, yeah, isn't that one of those golden rains or something like that? I'm like, Mom, that's called a golden shower. And you just had to be there. Anybody knows my mother, know how she is, to hear a golden rain as opposed to golden shower is absolutely hilarious. And I guess that's how I'm going to end my portion here to start. I know it's kind of been sporadic and choppy and all over the place, but this is my first time trying to put some thoughts together to get in for my brother's deadline. So I hope you all enjoyed this. And I guess tune in next time when I have some interesting shit to talk about. Who knows? Maybe we can get into some deep philosophical thought. Other than that, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask Brother Marcus to get in contact with me. I love you. I love the world. Peace out.
Life is a placebo. I mean, the idea is, like life is what you make of it. Soul coming down, be like, oh, like, I don't know. Like, you choose to enter into this fucking crazy ride, this crazy reality. Or you think that, like, it's going to do something to you, that it's controlling you. And that you're reacting to it. Like it's some sort of, like a pill. Like a swallowing a bitter pill. But really, life is a placebo. The only effect, the effect you choose to have.
People only want you to be yourself. To the extent that who you are doesn't intrude on their expectations of what yourself should be. Or something.
These are the ramblings of a drunk persona who, escaping social interaction, has absconded to the nether regions of a deck. And the deck is stacked against his favor as he savors another cigarette. A sad silhouette, full of regret and cancer cells. Take a look at yourselves. Oh, fuck it. The door has been closed on me. They gave me a chance, you see, but I spent it all wantonly and haphazardly, and so I am bastardly just irrelevant. It's an elephant in the room. It's a plume of smoke. It's a joke. It's just another toque. It's another yolk to scramble. Oh my god.
This is called Summer Rhyme, and the layman is easy. Adventuring dimensionally, aggregating potentially, a latter-day saint I enunciate exponentially. Been long gone mentally, like a willow I'm bending free, my words on the wind blow out to the void and rescind. I've done there, been that, like Schrodinger's cat, half alive, half dead, half rat. Let my rhymes out the box, and that's that. You see, I need an observer. It feeds my fervor. Fermenting nervously, I spit my verse at thee, inventing verbiage that's years ahead of ye. Don't get ahead of me, unless you'll give head to me. I've read you like an open book. I skipped to the end, and look, it won't work out, so I gotta mark out. The world's not ready. My whirl in time is absent-minded, unsteady, concentrically tangential, insubstantial affair, and this body's a rental, a non-denominational temple. I preach to the masses, teach knowledge in classes, pulling heads out of asses. Expel your fell odors into more noble gases. Don't bat your lashes or roll your eyes. That's when my fist collides with your third eye and smashes preconceptions. No self-deceptions, just top-of-the-shelf corrections to your attitude. With every platitude, I remind you that it doesn't matter, dude. Just do you. Do without wilt, swallow without spilt. Okay, stick a fork in me, stick a sword in me. I've had it up to hilt. This poem's a tower of Babel I built only to knock it down. Time to face up. Stop being a clown and make up these rhymes so cheesy, but It's summertime, and the layman is easy.
It comes off the top of my head, like that good fortune you gave me in bed.
My brain is erect with a psychic boner. Insane and vexed, I became a loner. Thoughts are possessed, but I haven't met their owner. Just a background character in someone's free roamer.
Okay, so what this does is it records our voices.
Oh.
Instead of a cassette tape like we did before, we can talk right now and record our voices. So just say something into it.
Well, what do you want me to say?
That's good.
Yeah.
So what do you want me to say?
Yeah.
Say your name.
Katrina Torito. You ever hear such an odd name?
So tell me the story of how you met Papa.
Oh, my God.
Tell me about meeting Papa. How old were you when you met him?
Oh, honey, why are you going so far? Are you going so far
So
back?
far back? Well, tell me, because, how old were you?
I was 19.
19.
And Papa was 19. And my friend and I came to Philadelphia to visit her because I had just broken off with my boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd gone with him for a couple of years. And we got into an argument. Grandmom took over. She took the gifts that he gave me, and she went over there and she broke the whole thing up.
She broke it up?
Yeah, she broke it up.
Wow.
But I guess she did the right thing, because I'd have never been happy with it.
Right.
And when she did that, she broke the whole thing up. So my sister-in-law was going to Philadelphia to visit her mother because it was her birthday. And her mother and sister were friends with me,
Okay.
because that's how my brother married her. He met her, and being our next-door neighbors, he met her, and they fell in love, and they got married. And
So you were going over there?
So I had gone there for the weekend, and Daddy was there with a friend of theirs, and she was keeping company with them. I mean, she was going with this guy, and Daddy went with them to keep them company.
Oh, I see.
And he fell in love with me.
He met you and fell in love with you?
Yeah, he met me there.
Mm-hmm.
He fell in love with me.
Did you know that right away?
Yeah.
You knew he was into you the first day?
Right.
He made it obvious?
Yes.
What did he say?
Well, he was so happy that he met me, and we went to the dance together because they had an after-party dance after a wedding. So they invited me, and we went to the dance together, and we enjoyed the dance together.
So wait, this was an actual wedding?
It was the wedding before.
Right.
The day before.
The day before.
But the night they were celebrating the wedding, yeah.
And then after that night was the dance.
Right. And that's when I got to meet him at the dance.
Mm-hmm.
And we danced, and we had a good time. And,
But you said you weren't into him at first.
No, I wasn't. I really wasn't.
What'd you think about him?
I didn't care for him that much. I didn't think he was handsome at all.
You didn't think he was handsome?
No. He was very, he was, I don't know, kind of, he wasn't handsome. And I didn't care for him. I didn't think he was that nice looking.
No.
No.
Did he have a nice personality?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
And he won me over, you know.
How did he win you over?
You know, he took me, we went to an ice cream parlor, and he treated me to ice cream.
That's all it took was some ice cream?
Right. And it was only a quarter. And it was the last quarter he had.
Oh, really?
He was hoping and praying that I would ask for more. Yeah, he told me all that.
He told you that?
Yeah, he says, Pat, when you asked me, when I ordered, and you said the ice cream, I was hoping and praying you'd say you didn't want no more. Because he didn't have any money on him, poor kid. He was only 19.
Yeah.
And I was only 19.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the ice cream together and walked me over to Connie's house. And he told her, he says, please let me know when she comes here in town again. He says, I want to see that girl. So when I came back in town again couple of weeks later, they told him, they said, you know, that girl Pat, she's coming down. And he dropped everything to try to be with me.
Really?
Yeah. And he really got into, he really cares for me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He liked me. And took me a little while for me to like him. I really didn't think he was good looking enough.
Right.
And he had that puny, skinny look about him. He wasn't, you know, he was only 19.
Yeah.
And I was only 19. Then I had my tonsils. That's why I was there that weekend.
Oh, to have your tonsils
I had my tonsils out at the clinic,
mm-hmm.
which was a horrible thing.
Ugh,
But anyway, that was terrible.
Especially back then.
Yeah. So anyway, I had my tonsils out, and he came to see me that night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So on his way walking, he was bringing me a little gift. My godfather, he was so good to me. Mark, he was such a nice man.
Really?
Yes, he was there for me when I was having problems. And, well, anyway, so he was coming to see me to see how I was doing. And he met Nick on the way.
Mm-hmm.
And they said hi. You know, they knew each other because they both rented the same store.
Yeah.
And
so he came to say hi to Nick.
He said to Nick, he said, I'm going to go see a friend of mine. He said, she just had her tonsils out. And he said, oh, he says, that's nice. He says, I'll see you. You know, he said, goodbye. And they met in our living room. And he laughed.
So he went to go see you.
Yeah.
Did he know he didn't know you had your tonsils out.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's why he brought me this little gift.
But when his friend said, I'm going to see somebody that has their tonsils out, they didn't say anything?
No, he didn't know it was me. You know.
Yeah, but what kind of coincidence could that be? They're both going to see somebody that has their tonsils out?
Yeah. So that was embarrassing. Because it was the same person with me.
Oh, my goodness.
And, but then we started talking, and after that, a couple of weeks later, I had to come back in town again because the doctor had to recheck me and see how I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came back in town, they told him,
mm-hmm.
Pat's down, you know. So he made sure he was there to see me. And then he went, you know,
yeah.
He would write letters to me.
Oh.
And I would write letters to him. And it started to grow from there.
You were long distance for a while, though?
Yeah. Yeah, I was long distance for a while.
For how many years?
A couple years.
Couple of years?
Right.
Wow.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And we would see each other off and on.
Mm-hmm.
Meantime, I would date other people.
Right.
And,
Would he date other people?
yeah, he was dating other people,
Yeah.
and I was dating other people.
Okay.
Yeah, and then,
Well, how did you end up with him then?
well, then I wind up that this fellow that I was dating, it didn't go nowhere, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the meantime, he was writing letters to me. And then I told him that my boyfriend and I broke up, and we were having a problem. So he said, "Can I see you?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Yeah, you can come and see me." So he did. He came to Violent, and he had his cousin that knew the area.
Mm-hmm.
She knew Violent. And
Now, how old were you now?
19. I was still,
This was all in the
I
same
was
year.
still, yeah,
Okay,
still
gotcha.
19.
All right.
And so then this girl came with him, his cousin, and she, made sure that he knew his way around, because Nick didn't know how to get around the Violent,
Sure.
It was strange for him. So we went to the movies, and then from there we met again. A couple of weeks later, we met again.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, he would keep writing me, and I would write him. And finally, we started going real serious.
Real serious, huh?
So that's how it happened.
And then you moved out to him?
No, I still lived at the farm.
No, but I mean eventually.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually you moved to Philly, right?
No.
No?
He lived in Philly all the time.
Well, yeah, but when you guys ended up getting married and so
Oh, yeah. Then I had an apartment with his mom. and
Right,
dad.
right.
Yeah.
And then when they passed away, you moved to Violent?
No.
No?
No, meantime, we got married because the war was, they were taking in all the young men,
Mm-hmm.
and he got this form
Mm-hmm.
that that he had to sign in,
Right.
and if he was married before that date, they would let it go.
Mm-hmm.
So we went and got married.
Right.
And this way he didn't have to go to the army.
Right.
In the meantime, we got married. We had a beautiful wedding.
Hmm.
And we got married. And
What
then
year was that?
1941.
Wow.
And then when we got married, they left us alone for a while. And then they called me and wanted to know why we didn't get married, why he didn't go into the service.
Mm-hmm.
So we had explained to him that we were, we got married.
Right.
So they left us alone. And meantime, Angela was born.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got called again. And that time they really, they didn't do anything about it. He had to go in the yard.
You had to go, yeah.
Yeah, because he and his friends, the same guys that they all got inducted at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
They all got killed.
Really?
Yes.
They all went different places, but they all got killed?
But they all got killed.
That's horrible.
Yes.
He's the only one of his friends?
That survived.
Jeez.
That survived that terrible war.
Well, he went out to Alaska, right?
After that, they sent him to Florida to learn how to. I don't know.
Well, where did he go first?
He went to Florida He went to Florida.
Yeah, he learned the aircraft engineering.
Right.
Yeah. He worked on the electrical on the aircraft. Yeah.
Yes, and then they decided to send them to out of the country.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, they had this big long line, and he was really friendly with this guy that that it was in the Army.
Mm-hmm.
So when it came your dad's turn to see where he was supposed to go, the last man that was chosen to go to Italy was this friend of his.
Right.
So he wasn't chosen.
Wow.
He was sent to Alaska instead.
Wow.
It's a shame.
That probably saved his life, though.
Well, it would have made him happy if he could have gone to Italy.
Yeah, but
he would have met all his parents, his relatives.
Yeah, but didn't his friends die?
Yeah.
So his friend that went to Italy died?
They all died.
So then it's better that he didn't go.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he went to Alaska where it was safe.
So I don't know. It wasn't that safe.
No?
No, it was terrible. When they got there in Alaska, there were no huts. They were not prepared. They were not prepared to see these soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
There was no place for them to bunk.
Really?
No. And they were so cold. It was so miserable.
Wow.
And they finally built some huts that they could live in.
Mm-hmm.
And Grandpa said some guys couldn't take it. They committed suicide.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, good God.
It was terrible. It was terrible. There was no living, comfortable.
How long
They were cold. It was only, we got married, and Andrew, we got married. And meantime, we were taking care of the store because his father had rented another store, so that they had this contract to hold on to the old store.
Right.
They didn't want to lose it,
So you were.
So meantime, we took care of that store, and then Grandpa got called in a service. So we had to give that store up and bring all the food and stuff to the store that his father they had bought.
Right.
That building. They bought that building, and meantime, Grandpa got the service fee. They called him that he had to leave. April 15th, 1943.
Oh.
I'll never forget it. And it was a horrible day. He had to leave us, and he left. And I lived with his mother and father a few months. But then we didn't get along. She didn't like me, and I didn't like her.
Right.
And I feel bad for her because I couldn't understand it at the time. That was her only child.
Right.
And she was so crazy in love with her son. The love that she should have had for her husband wasn't there.
Right.
Because he was young and guess he liked his girls. I don't know.
Wow.
But anyway, so she treated me terrible.
Right.
And I went over to my godmother and my godfather. They lived down the street.
Oh, really?
Oh, he was my godfather. God love him. I always pray for their soul. They were so good to me.
They were good to you.
Oh, yeah.
Especially back then when it was tough for you.
Right. So I went to them because she gave me such a hard time that day. And she said that I didn't mean nothing to her son. Her son was only there for one prayer. Her son was married to me just for his own desires.
Oh, good God.
Yeah.
That's horrible that she said that.
Yeah, that broke my heart when she said that.
Well, you knew it wasn't true.
So I fought her,
Sure.
I stood up to her and fought her.
This is while he was gone.
Right.
Good for you.
Even though I was young, it hurt me that she said such a...
She should have had no right to say that.
No, she should never said that to me. I didn't deserve that. I was a nice girl.
Yes, you were.
And but it's because I took her son's, love, which broke her heart. And now I understand that she had that love for her son that, it happens in a son's life. She loved him so much, and she didn't want to share him with anybody.
Right.
And he should have never got married because his mother was so close to him.
Well,
she was
no,
crazy.
it was the best thing he could have done.
She was crazy.
You can't be attached to her. Your
I
mother
know,
your whole life.
but evidently it didn't work because she was so crazy for him, and she cried and cried because she wanted us to split up.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
She could not want her son to be
No,
happy
she
with
didn't want it. And but I felt for her, Mark. I understand her now that I'm old.
Yeah.
It's sad what she went through.
Right.
That she had to share her son with somebody that she loved so dearly, and he was so important to her.
Yeah.
And it's hard, very
it's
hard.
to do, right?
When you're the only child,
Mm-hmm.
your husband doesn't get along with you.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, so that's why she told me that I was in her house, not because I was married to her son. I was there in that house because for his own pleasures, and that hurt me so much that I called her a son of a bitch.
Good for you.
And,
she deserved it. Did she back down eventually?
No.
She never did?
No, I took my little girl and took her over to my godmother because they lived down the street from us. So my godfather went to my apartment because I had a beautiful apartment there. And he went to my apartment and started breaking things down, taking the curtains down and taking it down. Yeah, he did all that.
So you
and so she was telling him what a terrible person I was, that that I was no good. And he says, "Don't tell me about her being no good." He says, "I baptized this kid."
Right.
He says, "I've seen her grow up." He says, "And don't ever tell me she's no good." So he told her off too.
Good.
And that same night, he made arrangements. He called the Columbia moving people, and he had all my furniture packed up.
Wow.
And they took me back to the farm, and then that's where I lived for 2 years.
Wow.
At the farm with my little girl and my mom and dad. They had a big farm. And
how did Papa feel when?
They were hurt. They were very hurt to think that she treated me that way.
Right.
Because I didn't deserve to be treated that way.
Right. Well, I mean, how did Papa feel? My Papa. Your Nick. How did he take it?
It hurt him very much. It hurt him very much. I think that his parents would do that. Yeah. But then when 2 years later, they gave cards out of who can go back to the United States.
Right.
So he was lucky.
That's right.
His name came out, and then they called it back because it wasn't valid. But then they did it again. His name came out again. So he came to the United States.
So they tried to say it wasn't valid, but...
Yeah, but then after, they had a second one. And it was valid. And he came home. And it was so nice. He came home to us.
Oh.
He stayed for a couple of months. And then they shared him. They sent him to South Carolina. And they had to finish the rest of the war in South Carolina.
Well, how long was that?
A couple of years.
A couple of years?
Right.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So he was in Alaska for how long then? A year?
And more than that. He was in
Alaska. The war ended, and you said he went to war in 1940.
43.
43. The war ended in 45.
Yes. Well, that's the time.
Okay.
That's the time.
All right.
Yeah. And that was miserable. It was hard. She was terrible. She always hated me. She never... And you can't blame her, Mark.
When he came back from the war,
When he came back from the war, we went back to South Philly to live.
Okay.
And we got an apartment in South Philly.
And then when did you move to Vineland?
We moved to Vineland 4 years later.
Okay.
Grandpa went back. Meantime, he goes to school to learn how to be a meat cutter.
Right.
Because he didn't know nothing about any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So he went to school to learn the meat cutter. And they opened up a little meat counter for him.
Okay.
He was doing good. But we had a big argument with his mother because Maria was going up the steps, up and down the steps, and she got real dirty. And I couldn't stand it, and I smacked Maria, and she wanted to know why I smacked Maria, so I got into a big fight.
Right.
Yeah, we got into a big fight.
How old was Mom? Maria?
She was 3 years old.
Oh.
And so then I decided, he decided. His mother said it was around Thanksgiving.
Right.
So to get even with him, she says, you cannot have the car. Because there was one family car.
Mm-hmm.
And
sure.
So we lived with them. We only had the one family car.
Yeah, of course.
And so she says we couldn't have the car. So he made a big mistake. He says she can boss him around like that and take away the car like that. I don't know what he was thinking. So he decided that he wanted to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And she begged him not to leave. She cried. She didn't want him to leave.
He had enough.
And he had enough. He didn't want to live. So that's how we started our life in Vineland.
Wow, I see.
That's how we started our life in Vineland.
And then she just stayed there?
What?
His mother stayed there.
Oh, she stayed in Philadelphia.
Right.
Yeah.
Did she ever get over it?
No.
No,
poor
probably not.
thing. No, poor thing. She never did. I feel sorry. I always say prayers for her.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for her because she loved that son so much more. You'd be surprised.
Well, but she should have learned to share, He could have taken care of you and her.
She couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's a shame.
She couldn't do it. And I didn't know better.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know better.
Look at the penguin dive. Watch. Look at the penguin. See that penguin dive?
Yeah.
That's news. Did you see that, Nana?
Yes.
The penguin diving at an aquarium into the water.
Right.
That's on the 6 o'clock news or the 5 o'clock news.
Oh, really?
That's the news.
Oh, my.
Like out of everything happening in the world and on this planet right now, they are spending time telling you about a penguin that dived into the water.
Oh, my. We really don't know what's in store for us. We really don't know.
Well, would you want to know?
Well, no.
No.
I wouldn't want to know.
Why not?
But things are worse now than ever, Mark. Things are worse now.
Are they?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. The economy has gone down. The cost of living was so high. These school teachers never had a problem. You always had a good pay coming in with a good annuity coming in.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that anymore.
No.
Your mom and dad does.
Well, yeah.
They're lucky. It happened with...
They got out just in time.
Yes, they really did.
Basically what happens. That they got out just in time.
Yeah. So they really got it.
It's my generation and the next ones who are screwed, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
We're screwed.
You are. And you got to do something about it, Mark. You all got to get together and not let this happen because they're ruining our middle age. We belong to the middle age.
The middle class?
The middle class.
Hmm.
And they're ruining it for us.
Well, yeah.
You know, we can't keep up with the payments. Nobody's working. And Mark, look at Michael. Look at Michael. No jobs. And a lot of the boys have to. A lot of the people have to go back to their parents to live because they can't afford to live by themselves. You see what's happening.
I do see what's happening.
Terrible.
So, do you think there's any hope for humankind?
Well, there should be if everybody would stick together and fight together. But they're letting the Republicans get away with it.
Well, it's not just Republicans. It's just people in power that don't care.
I know.
You don't have to give them a name. It's the
wrong people.
The wrong people.
It's the wrong people.
Yeah.
Meantime, you guys, I mean, you shouldn't have to go through what you're going through, where that your money doesn't cover all expenses.
Well, right.
That's not fair.
Right. It's not like you're asking for...
It's not fair. You should have enough money to be able to support yourself, and you find it hard. You're not finding it easy, right?
Well, I mean, I do waste money in certain areas, but it's not like I'm buying extravagant things.
Yeah, but that's not right.
I don't buy new clothes.
I know, but that's not right. Yeah, but you should be able to do that.
Well, I know. I know, but just barely
it's not
getting
fair.
by.
It's not fair because you're working hard. You're teaching all these kids. Your job is harder than ever. And I don't think that's fair.
Well,
And there's no respect for teachers anymore.
No.
There used to be a lot of respect for teachers. There is no respect for teachers.
Nope.
And they treat teachers terrible. There is, I don't know. It's not the same. I see it all happening, and I feel so bad because in my day, the teacher was respected so much. You had to respect that teacher. Today, you have classes making a lot of noise and talking. We never had that in our day.
Why do you think it's different?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Why do you think the kids today are like that?
Because their parents spoil them.
Their parents spoil them?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Their
parents probably think they're just doing the right thing.
Yeah,
right?
but they're not. They're not. And then they go there ready to fight the teacher.
Yeah.
That's not right, Mark. That never happened before. Before, if the teacher said that child did something wrong, the parents punished that child.
Well, I think part of it was you did have a lot of bad teachers, though, too. They used to have corporal punishment and all that. And so, I'm just playing devil's advocate. You know what I'm saying? Back when you couldn't say anything to the teacher could also smack you on the hand with a ruler.
Yeah.
Which is also not right.
Right.
So there's now we can't do that stuff anymore.
No.
We don't.
I know.
But the kids can get away with all this crap.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing to hold it back.
I still say that I think it's terrible the way...
Doesn't it come back to how you're raised and values?
Yeah. But I still think it's terrible the way the teachers are being treated. That governor is the first one. Discussed it with him. But see, he went to Catholic school.
Oh.
So he doesn't know.
No, he doesn't.
No,
Public school.
No, he don't know public school.
Thank you, Nana. That was a great story, and I miss you. But we must move on. Now, you may remember various recordings scattered throughout the last 10 episodes of this podcast from legendary blues singer Old Nasty Rascal. When we last heard from Old Nasty, I honestly thought it would be the last time, but I was able to make a trip down to East Vineland, where he resides, and he's here with me now, so let's see what he has to say. Old Nasty, how you feeling today?
Yeah, I got the blues. You're just pawning off your shoes. You got the old stuff, but I got the news. I got a blue brick. It wouldn't stick. So I had to give it up to a trick. And then I played this sick lick.
That's good. But how are you really?
Yeah, I get angry sometimes. Sometimes I just get damn near so frustrated I could bust a nut all over this whole planet. You know what I'm saying? But I try to deal my own way with my hate that comes boiling to the surface. Sometimes that heat just gets so strong I don't know what to do.
Here, bud, have some kombucha. It'll make you feel better.
It's been a long time since I had a drink, and I'm thirsty. My throat is dry. My brain is like a sponge that hasn't soaked anything in eons. How long is an eon anyway? Is there an actual measurement for that span of time? Maybe an eon is 1 second in this infinite lifetime I'm forced to live. And what's the difference between an eon and an aeon? E-O-N and A-E-O-N. Are they the same thing? Don't tell me to look this shit up. I'm too tired. I hurt too much to get up. And if you handed me a cell phone, my fingers are just too damn arthritic from playing the blues.
Okay, I looked it up for you, old nasty, don't worry. Apparently, Aeon and Eon are the same thing. Aeon originally meant life, vital force, or being, generation, or a period of time. It could be used in reference to a period of 1 billion years, especially in geology, cosmology, or astronomy, but its more common usage is for any long, indefinite period. Do you have anything else you'd like to say to our listeners?
You got nothing to say, but you feel the need to say it anyway. Because you know your time is running out, and that meter just keeps ticking away in its metronome. I saw a metronome once. He was getting on the subway in the Washington, D.C. metro. He was a little gnome. I swear I saw that shit. I swear it. Of course, I was under the influence of time. Back in my day, we called it reefer. And one time I got this stash, and we smoked it, and we listened to a reefer Franklin. Get it? A reefer Franklin. Oh yes, those were the good old days. The times when you could just be yourself and put all the other issues on the shelf. Shit. I I put so many things on those shelves that they're done collapsed. This is nothing. This is an old man rambling into a fake pixelated microphone with this blue light getting bigger every time I talk. And that blue light just reminds me of all the times I've been singing the blues. Long, long time through all the wars and all the crime. I've sung every rhyme there is to sing about singing the blues.
And that's about all I could get out of Old Nasty before he became totally incoherent. He did ask me to ask you to pray for him, specifically for a quick and painless death. Old Nasty, true legend, one love. And now, a quick transition with poetry. This is called Middle Class Blues.
Lack of funds, anxious and scheming, forced to fend or resort to fiending. It's even complicated dreaming in this world of bureaucratic leanings, where corporations have more clout than human beings. This is called You're Out.
Mess with my crew and you're out. You better not cry and you better not pout. We club you with our collective clout. Knock you silly till you know what we're about. We bring the rain, you're washed up on a water spout. Feeding on disbelief, chewing on your doubt. You whistle while you piss, while philosophical shit you tout. Until you hear us coming and tremble at the shout. We run this lameness out of town and leave you in a rout.
This is called Some Ations, as in -ATIONS.
Investigating ways to avoid hesitation, bored by the same mundane iteration. Need a physical workout and mental vacation. Married friends haven't seen since their baby's creation. Sorry, it's hard for me to share the elation, cause my semen just spread like a surface area equation. My spoon is tuned to different vibrations, soul hungry for spirits, but not for libations. Dizzy from riding these social gyrations. Don't believe in crews or races or nations. Maybe it's just self-righteous indignation, or some ridiculous half-hearted resignation. Maybe just pain born of frustration, like this poem, which cannot reach its summation.
This one is called. 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 Okay. Spoiler alert. You're next week's guest. I mean, next episode's guest for episode 11.
Oh.
And I chose that because of the double digits that you're all your angel numbers.
Nice.
I thought maybe it would be cool to have you on every double digit episode.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
So, but for now, we're already an hour into the current episode, so I just need you to give a little teaser.
Okay.
First of all, of what people are about to hear when they hear the excerpt from my quantum healing session that you did with me. Can you provide like some sort of context
to the session itself?
Well, actually, before that, like, what is quantum healing hypnosis therapy?
Okay.
In like 3 sentences.
Oh my god, that's impossible. Okay, I can't do 3 sentences. I cannot commit to that. So quantum healing hypnosis technique was founded and I guess created and perfected by Dolores Cannon, who passed away last year. And it is a technique that provides instantaneous healing when facilitated by a certified practitioner. It starts off with a relaxation kind of visualization meditation that leads the client into a trance, into a deep level of trance, one that a lot of clinical hypnotherapists have refused to work in. And it starts off with the past life regression, where the client will learn about their patterns that they've carried over from past lives into this one. A lot of it will tell them why they're experiencing like physical symptoms, ailments, diseases in this life. The biggest part of the past life regression is going through the death experience, because that can tell you a lot about what is going on with you in this life. And then, it also helps you understand why you were incarnated with the family that you're in right now and the relationships that you have. Teaches you a lot about that stuff that can give you a lot of aha moments, for this lifetime. After that, I ask permission to speak with the higher self, or the universal consciousness, the soul, the oversoul, however you want to describe it or call it. And once I get permission, I'm able to ask questions on your behalf, which you provide to me. Some of the top questions people want to know is, what's my life's purpose? What is the purpose of this relationship? Why am I suffering from this disease? Where did it come from? Can it be healed? How can I heal it? And once all the questions are asked and answered, you ask the higher self to do a body scan for instant healing, and the higher self will take you from, actually the higher self is really in control, so it's going to just do what it needs to do, and it decides what needs to be healed and if it will heal it. And most times it's completely instant, and the shifts that occur after the sessions, at least in my experience, have been phenomenal.
Oh, mine as well. Which we'll get into a little more next time. But I thought it'd be cool to put some excerpts from it.
Sure.
Can you provide your impressions about this?
What do you mean?
About my session, specifically.
How your session went?
Yeah, like when people are about to hear this stuff, so...
Right. So your session was my first session, obviously. And as much as I want to say I was really nervous because, it was my first session, I tried to let go of all my expectations. And as much as you and I both want to believe that you weren't in a very deep level of trance, you already are noticing multiple shifts happening. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting, because if we both were like, I'm nervous and I don't know if I'm doing this right, and you're like, I don't know if I was in a deep level of trance, I don't know if I made it all up, I don't know if it actually worked, and you're already seeing all these crazy awesome shifts, I'm very interested to see, and when I get better and have more clients, what we're capable of doing together, because this is one of the most important things that the world needs right now. And I wholeheartedly believe in it, and it's everything I've been searching for ever since I was a kid. And to know that I finally have found it is the most incredible feeling I could ever have imagined. This is something that will save the world, in a sense, obviously not overnight, but this is something very important, and this is something that will shift us if we allow it.
Nicole Rivera. Thank you so much.
Nikki. Call me Nikki.
Nikki. Thank you so much. Let's just jump right into some excerpts from my first Quantum Healing Hypnosis session. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Namaste.
Marcus has a few questions that he would like some clarification on. May I ask you those questions as well?
Yeah.
He wants to know how he can shift from a perspective of lacking to one of abundance. How can he do that?
He doesn't have to shift. He already is in abundance.
How can we get him to believe in that?
He already knows it. He sees it his whole life. He's always been taken care of.
Thank you.
But he does need to be around others and helping others in some capacity.
Because he is a very good teacher. He loves to teach. So you're just saying not necessarily with children? Should it be more with adults?
Doesn't matter the age. He
he likes to perform. He likes the attention on him because he genuinely can capture people's attention. So anything that is performance-based, where he gets to be looked up to.
Marcus would also like to know what he should expect from this coming school year, and if you have any advice for him.
He has got to get to know his kids better. He needs to ask them more questions about themselves and know more about what's going on in their lives at home. Because he needs to be more compassionate with his students.
Understood. Sometimes especially with children, I think around the age in which he teaches, they might not be very trusting with their teachers. Is there a way that he can make them a little bit more comfortable with him so that they can trust him to understand that he's just trying to help? Because sometimes asking personal questions like that might make somebody really uncomfortable at first.
He just needs to give them the opportunity to share. So, letter writing, he can find out about them passively by giving them opportunities to share.
Know if traveling should be a priority for he and I.
Yes. Yes. They both get bored in the same place, and frequent breaks would feel good, would feel refreshing. Again, novelty. He's an explorer. He likes to explore the unknown.
Is that one of the reasons he was so eager to have this experience?
Yes. He just needs to pay attention to what's happening around him.
Do you mean practicing mindfulness?
Mindfulness.
Right.
He already has the intuition. He just needs to pay closer attention to what's going on.
Right.
And it'll come easier.
I was just curious if you had any advice for the people of our time right now, any general advice for us going forward?
People are too separate. People need to come together more. Face to face. He may live a long time, but it's the quality. It's the quality of his life.
Thank you.
Hey, by the way, Miss Marcus, I thought you were going to laugh.
I just didn't think it was appropriate.
Come on, David invited a bunch of civilians. Nobody that came over for the big night. Who noticed one more? I mean, Marcus is one of us now.
Is he? I don't see an Earth Alliance symbol on his chest or flight wings. Look, I said I didn't think it was appropriate. It was my call, okay?
Oh, she's right. Better off Marcus keeping a low profile right now.
Okay. I'm going to leave you with one final story. This is from the book Heroes and Hierophants, which was co-written by Noel Rogers, who you met in episode 9, and Douglas Palermo, who you met in episode 2. And the purpose of this assignment was for us to write about each other's next life. So I was assigned to write about Doug's next life, but I also wanted to do an homage to my brother, and so I sort of combined these two ideas in this story. Heroes and Hierophants, by the way, can be purchased at Amazon.com in paperback, hardback, or Kindle format. The link will be in this episode's notes at opusmarcuspodcast.com. If you've made it this far, thanks for listening. Oh, fair warning, this story does get a little graphic in some places, but I hope you enjoy it. It's called M.V.D. The ego entity, formerly known as Douglas Palermo, woke up in bed with two women. One of them he remembered. Her name is Sarah, with an H. No, wait, it's Sarah without the H. The other girl he did not recognize, but then most of her face was snoring softly in between Sarah's giant breasts. It must have been a good night. He scanned his surroundings through slitted eyes. A transparent golden ashtray piled with cigarettes, a bottle of Tylenol PM knocked over, blue pills scattered onto the empty plastic bag which, at the beginning of the night, had been filled with enough coke for 3 times 3 threesomes. The prickled static of the TV made him look like coagulated atoms, barely held together by some subatomic aching in his flesh. Painful cotton mouth and tightly clogged sinuses caused him to gag on the dark mucus stuck to his esophagus. He forced his eyelids to open wider, and in that instant experienced amnesia and déjà vu simultaneously. He recognized this place. He had been here many times before. He knew the girl, Sarah without the H, but he also knew a Sarah with the H. What had happened to her? And why was he here, in the basement of 42 Victory Avenue? Had he come down to Violin with Mark? How did he end up in bed with these girls? And what the hell had they gotten into that caused him to completely forget the experience? Though everything seemed familiar, he could not remember who he was or where he came from. Suddenly, an alarm pierced his ears and skull. A robotic female siren called, "Call from Marcus Aurelius." Strangely, he knew exactly where the phone was. As his outstretched arm reached to grab it, he noticed a tattoo of a medieval dragon on his arm. What the fuck? When he spoke these words, he heard a voice that he recognized instantly, but he couldn't understand why that voice was coming from his own vocal cords. "Call from Marcus Aurelius." Click. Hello? Douglas Palermo? Who? Never mind. Inside joke. Yo, what's up, my brother from the same earth, mother? Yo, what the fuck's going on, Mark? Said the ego entity formerly known as Douglas Palermo. Do you want it all at once, or do you want me to give it to you slowly? All at once. Now that's the Michael D'Ambrose I know and love. Okay, here goes then. You were this guy, Doug, see, and you had a loving family. You went to school, graduated as the last American Studies major. You made some great friends, helped a lot of people, and became a beloved teacher. Spiritually speaking, you were one of the few who figured out quite early on what it was, is, and will be all about. Know what I mean? We contacted you once back on New Year's 2000, and ever since you've secretly been part of our crew, the Communion of Souls. You're gonna have to give this to me slowly. You are my friend, Marcus Aurelius, right? Don't think of me as the Marcus Aurelius. Think of me as a Marcus Aurelius. I'm one aspect of the god Marcuses that manifests here in order to break down your mission. The other Marcus Aureliuses exist in all those other universes, fighting hobbits while riding sandworms or whatever it is they do. You lost me at hobbits. Forget about it. The important thing is you died. Now, you gotta do this one more mission and prove to us that you're really ready to move on. How did I die? Cancer. Shit. Really? Yeah, but don't worry. You made it funny. Who are you talking to? Sarah's sleepy voice asked. My brother. Tell him I said hi. Okay. Sarah says hi. Cool. She's a good girl. Shame about her, though. As Mark said this, Sarah gulped an entire bottle of water. What do you mean? Well, in a few minutes, she's gonna watch you die of an overdose. An overdose of what? Everything. Sarah smiled, reached down into his pants, and began stroking his cock. In a few seconds, she was licking it and squeezing her lips tightly around the tip. "You still there, kid?" He had to concentrate. I thought you said I already died." That was as the ego entity Douglas Palermo. This is the death of ego entity Michael D'Ambrose, whose consciousness you currently inhabit, my friend. Yo, what the hell? Why am I Michael D'Ambrose? It's your last mission, kid. You had it pretty easy as Douglas Palermo, but before you can take the next square on the board, you'll have to move this piece. So I have to die again? What is it this time? He glanced at the wooden end table, littered with the shit he had apparently put in his body. Wait, let me guess. Heart attack. Bingo, Mark confirmed. Don't worry, baby. They say death tastes sweet. Sarah spoke from under the covers where she clutched his cock and fondled his balls. Concentrate, damn it, he thought. But I still don't understand why I have to die as Michael D'Ambrose. It's more like you gotta die before you die so that when you die, you don't die. Do you even know what that means? It means I'm gonna swallow every last drop from you, Sarah replied, not knowing that he was not talking to her. Mark continued on the phone. Think of this as a preview of what not to do when you're living out the life of Michael D'Ambrose. What? His whole fucking life? He sat up and his cock accidentally jabbed Sarah in the face. Sarah spat it out. What the fuck is wrong with you, asshole? No, that's it. I'm out, he said. You're out? What the fuck does that mean? Sarah was livid. You've got to get in to get out, Mark chimed and then laughed heartily. But seriously, your mission is to redeem my brother. You're the only one who can do it. Does this mean I have to put you in the hospital? Just try it, you sick fuck, Sarah shouted, startling the other unknown female awake. I'll make sure you're raped in prison. What's going on? Who's sick? Who's in prison? Who still wants to fuck? Why don't both of you bitches shut the fuck up and suck my cock? The ego entity, formerly known as Douglas Palermo, was revolted at what he had just shouted. But, as the ego entity known as Michael D'Ambrose, he laid back triumphantly as both girls obeyed. Sarah, without the H, began licking his balls, and the other girl spat on his cock, spread the saliva in a few quick strokes, and then she began sucking him off. Look, said Mark, what do you really have to do that's so hard? Respect your parents, Maria and Gary. No problem, you love those two people. Show love to Marcus. TooEasy.com because you always did that in your former life. Don't make an ass of yourself. This is where Mike will need you the most. Be that inner voice that preempts him from pulling some of his more disastrous stunts. If you watch out for your shoulder while playing high school football, you may help bring Vineland to the state championships. Oh, and for continuity's sake, make sure you still have this threesome. It's needed in another story that you already wrote. Then what? Asked the ego entity formerly known as Douglas Palermo. Then you get to go wherever you want, replied Mark. Both of them paused, contemplating the same possibilities. Why don't you bring me back as a sea turtle? That's more my speed. Done there, been that. Okay, but if I do all those things you said, I'll become a different Michael D'Ambrose than the Michael D'Ambrose I once knew. Won't that alter, everything? Come on, you've watched Lost. The universe is course correcting. It's like those giant mazes of dominoes. All the dominoes will fall. You're just the next in line, a part of the moving pattern. Everything else falls into place around you because of you. Why, right now, Noel is living the life of Russell Sprigg, and Mark is living the life of all his ex-girlfriends. He is literally touching his ass and balls and fucking himself. Crazy, said the ego entity, who was beginning to accept his lot as Michael D'Ambrose. Mike went through so much shit, though. Whenever I saw him, I thought, there but for the grace of God. There but for the grace of God, there wouldn't be a Michael D'Ambrose, Mark blared over the phone. Church. Okay, Mark, I get it. Can I get back to this blowjob now? Sure thing, bro. Enjoy. Oh, one more thing. You're going to completely forget that you were ever Douglas Palermo. Douglas Palermo? Ha! Now you're ready, Michael. Huh? Peace out. Click. He dropped the phone as an intensely pleasurable sensation emanated from his groin. The girls were sucking and stroking him. For a moment he forgot who he was talking to and what he was talking about, and when the orgasm came he forgot who he was and remembered who he was meant to be. "You're an angel," he said to a smiling Sarah. He looked into the eyes of the other girl. "And you just earned your wings." Suddenly, the universe turned 0 degrees from the very center of his heart chakra, spreading outward and freezing all of time in a blackened stillness. He realized what was happening, and the life of Douglas Palermo replayed for him in one final instant. It froze at one particular scene, that day in 1996, when he and Marcus Aurelius moved into neighboring dorm rooms at Drew University. He would meet Mark's brother Mike first and shake his hand. "I wonder if I'll recognize me when I meet myself again," said the ego entity formerly known as Douglas Palermo. January 4th, 1980, 1:00 p.m. The worst snowstorm in a decade rages outside. Inside a hospital room, Maria gives birth to her second son, Michael Vincent D'Ambrose. He breathes softly, feeling the warmth of the nurse who holds him. Then he pisses on her face.
Yeah, it's your brother, man. Like, you know I'm gonna be calling you to say happy birthday. Like, what's the deal with your phone, bro? Seriously. Like, I know I don't have a whole class of students that sing happy birthday to me, but I tried to call you 3 times. You say happy birthday. That's some rude shit, man. So I don't know, call me back, man. Happy birthday, old bitch.
Specific thought thread. You don't remember where we ended it, huh?
I'm not sure I remember what I did yesterday. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, I don't remember what I did 5 minutes ago.
Exactly. When you're in the moment, there's only this moment.
You see, I get in these moods.
What's your advice for people in life?
My advice is to stay strong, be helpful, be smart, be brave, be powerful, be kind, and be loving to everyone, even your pets.
We really don't know what's in store for us. We really don't know.
Well, would you want to know?
Well, no.
No.
Let's say something bad happened to you. Move on. It already happened. Just move on to the better things in life.
I hope it's really not just us. Right? And everyone else is like, self-created eternal hell. No. Every waking moment is a joyous experience of growth and opportunity. I find myself totally spiritual centered and at peace with the balance between me and the rest of the universe.
What a heck of time!
After all that, they won the game.
We must have a high tolerance for chaos. Learn to embrace the flow.
Regret nothing we can't let go. For this moment we have learned in order to get unknown. So let's tune those frequencies. Until rhythm vibrations grow. Let's pretend that it never ends. And now, it's time to start the show.